Okay. Good morning or good afternoon, whichever. We are picking up with the page 1104, chapter 7, The Man Recruited in the Rue de Billets. By now night had closed in. Nothing was coming. Were only confused sounds, and at intervals musket volleys, infrequent, poorly sustained, and distant. This prolonged respite with a sign that the government was taking its time in massing its forces. These 50 men were waiting for 60,000. Enjolras felt himself caught up in the impatience that seizes strong souls on the threshold of important events. He went to find Gavroche, who had set himself to making cartridges in the lower room by the doubtful light of 2 candles, placed on the counter because of the powder scattered over the tables. These 2 candles threw no rays outside. The insurgents, moreover, had taken care not to have any lights in the upper stories. At this moment Gavroche was very busy, though not exactly with his cartridges. The man from the Rue de Billets had just entered the low-ceilinged room, and had taken a seat at the table, with the least light. A large infantry musket had fallen to his lot, and he held it between his knees. Gavroche, hitherto distracted by 100 amusing things, had not even seen this man. When he came in, Gavroche mechanically followed him with his eyes, admiring his musket. Then suddenly, when the man had sat down, the gamin arose. Had anyone watched this man up to this time, he would have seen him observe everything about the barricade and the band of insurgents with strange attention. But since he had come into the room, he had fallen into a kind of meditation, and appeared to see nothing more of what was going on. The gamin approached this thoughtful character, and began to tiptoe round him the way one walks near somebody he fears to wake. At the same time, over his childish face, at once so saucy and so serious, so carefree and so profound, so cheerful and so touching, there passed all those grimaces of the old that signify, "Oh, no, impossible, I'm seeing things, I'm dreaming, could it be? No, it isn't, why, yes, why, no," etc. Gavroche rocked back and forth on his heels, clenched both fists in his pockets, twisted his neck like a bird, invested in one outsized pout all the sagacity of his lower lip. He was dazed, uncertain, credulous, convinced, bewildered. He had the appearance of the chief of the eunuchs in the slave market, discovering a Venus among the frumps, and the air of an amateur recognizing a Raphael in the heap of daubs. Every part of him was at work. The instinct, that sense, and the intellect that combines. It was clear that an event had occurred for Gavroche. It was in the depths of this meditation that Enjolras accosted him. "You're small," said Enjolras. "Nobody will see you. Go out of the barricade, slip along the houses, look around the streets a little, and come and tell me what's going on." Gavroche straightened up. "Little folks are good for something, then? That's very lucky. I'll go. Meantime, trust the little folks. Distrust the big." And Gavroche, raising his hand and lowering his voice, added, pointing to the man at the Rue de Billets, "You see that big fellow there? Well, he's an informer. You're sure? It wasn't 2 weeks ago he pulled me by the ear off the cornice of the Point Royale, where I was taking the air." Enjolras hastily left the gamin, and murmured a few words very low to a working man from the wine docks who was near by. The worker went out of the room and returned almost immediately, accompanied by 3 others. The 4 men, broad-shouldered dockhands, without doing anything that could attract his attention, placed themselves behind the table on which the man of the Rue de Billets was leaning. They were obviously ready to throw themselves on him. Then Enjolras approached the man and asked him, "Who are you?" At this abrupt question the man gave a start. He looked straight to the depths of Enjolras' frank eyes, and appeared to catch his thought. He smiled a smile that was mostly disdainful, the most energetic and the most resolute imaginable, and answered with a haughty gravity, "I see how it is. Well, yes, you're an informer. I'm a government officer. Your name is Javert." Enjolras made a sign to the 4 men. In a twinkling, before Javert had time to turn around, he was collared, thrown down, bound, searched. They found him on a little round card framed between 2 pieces of glass, and bearing on one side the arms of France, engraved with the legend "Surveillance et Vigilance," and on the other side this endorsement, "Javert, Inspector of Police, H. 52," and the signature of the prefect of police at the time, Monsieur Gisquet. Besides that, he had his watch and his purse, which contained a few gold pieces. They left him his purse and his watch. Under the watch, at the bottom of his fob, they felt and took a sheet of paper in an envelope, which Enjolras opened, on which he read the lines written in the prefect's hands. "As soon as his political mission is fulfilled, Inspector Javert will ascertain, by a special examination, whether it is true that the malefactors have promising enterprises on the slope of the right bank of the Seine, near the Point d'Elena." The search finished, they stood Javert up, tied his arms behind his back, fastened him in the middle of the lower room to that celebrated post that had formerly given its name to the wine shop. Gavroche, who had witnessed the whole scene and approved the whole by silent nods of the head, approached Javert and said to him, "The mouse has caught the rat." All this was executed so rapidly that it was finished as soon as it was noticed in the wine shop. Javert had not uttered a cry. Seeing Javert tied to the post, Courfeyrac, Bossuet, Joly, Combeferre, and the men scattered around the two barricades ran in. Backed up against the post and tied with ropes so that he could make no movement, Javert held up his head with the intrepid serenity of the man who has never lied. "It's an informer," said Enjolras, and turning toward Javert, "You will be shot 10 minutes before the barricade is taken." Javert replied in his most imperious tone, "Why not immediately? We're economizing on gunpowder." "Then do it with a knife." "Spy," said the handsome Enjolras. "We are judges, not assassins." Then he called Gavroche. "You, go on about your business. Do what I told you." "I'm going," cried Gavroche, and pausing just as he was starting, "By the way, you'll give me his musket. I leave you the musician, but I want the clarinet." The gamin gave a military salute and sprang gaily through the opening in the large barricade. So Javert is in the same barricade that Marius is headed to.